Hi, it's Friday, it's 3 o'clock. Welcome to Together Unlocked. We're dressed up to go out to stay in, and we'll tell you all about that in a moment. But first, we're Together Unlocked. We're brought to you by Together 2012. We're a disabled led arts organisation based in the main 2012 Paralympic host borough of Newham. I'm Ju Gosling, also known as Ju90. I'm the artistic director, and with me in my East London studio, where she's been locked down since March, is our chair, the artist Julie Newman. Usually, I start by handing over to the other end of our long-wheeled virtual sofa in the West Midlands for some introductions, some audio descriptions, and further explanation about dressing up to go out to stay in. But as Julie, shall we say, has gone to so much effort, I feel let's start with you, Julie, and yes, make sure the audio description is completely clear.
Hi, I'm Julie Newman. I'm the chair of Together 2012. And today I've dressed up to go out to a Janis Joplin concert in August 1969. It was, I think, one of the last performances that she did before she died in 1970. But because it's also band T-shirt day, I created a T-shirt. Where is it? Of my own. So I'm wearing a Joan Jett sort of punky type girl band T-shirt as well to go with the ensemble. My hair today is bush backwards. It's in tribute to Janis. It's backcombed slightly and a little bit wild. I do have a bit of makeup on, so don't despair. It's not the effect of lockdown, which has finally got to me. So my eyes are slightly dark rimmed today, and today only, I have to say, unless something exciting happens. I have a purple undershirt on, so the top arms are showing. No, not the bit around the shoulders showing. And my grey T-shirt with Joan Jett scribbled on the front of it has been torn and is sitting in a slightly sort of, what's the word, derriere? Is that the word?
I don't know, but it's certainly slash neck punk.
Slash neck punk.
Decoupage displaying, isn't it?
Exactly.
I can't help thinking when I bought you a box of makeup that you've never used some years ago, I wouldn't have expected it to come out in order to do, well, not exactly fancy dress, but we dress up to go out to stay in, well, in tribute now to the New Zealanders. They used to have dress up Fridays during their lockdown where they all dressed up to do things like go to the opera. Well, Brits mostly don't go to the opera, and we thought it was much more fun to dress up to go out to stay in, to do whatever we wanted, real or imaginary, and indeed in any time period. But it's also, Julie, you're the music woman today. What day is it today? It's band. Tell us more about it.
It's band T-shirt day. It's been promoted by BBC Radio 6, which is a music channel, and they have promised to play any of the tracks on your T-shirts that any of us are wearing during the day. They're featuring it, so it's an opportunity to recognize the value and the diversity of the music industry. I think it's really important, actually. Australia also do it big time, and they use it as fundraising. But I think, particularly for someone like Joan Jett, who isn't often spoken about these days, but sort of like was, the big song was "I Love Rock and Roll," which she did with the Deadbeats, and that was stunning. She was a really good guitarist as well. I don't think she was one of what they call the shoegazers, but she certainly sort of like was just before that era, and there were some really, really good women
Right, so we'll move on slightly though. I just wanted a quick introduction for the band
I
t-shirts.
have the mic. There's no stopping me now.
And you are, as you pointed out to us last week, the chair. So I'm not the chair, I'm the artistic director. I've got short red hennaed hair in a self-styled Corona crop, black glasses, black wrist braces, silver coloured jewellery. And my band t-shirt is a band called Dodgy, and the t-shirt says sweet, and it's branded as Dodgy Gear. We've talked a lot recently about, well, number one, how my idea of dressing up is to put on a different t-shirt. So Band Friday has suited me down to the ground, but also about how, as disabled people and punks, we've always kept our t-shirts and things. This idea that you shouldn't throw everything away after a year is quite unusual to us in the first place. And this, I seem to remember the band giving to me in '97 when I'd worked on a gig of theirs in Newquay. So I don't know if anybody even remembers Dodgy, but it was a pristine looking t-shirt. I dare say I've almost never worn it. Anything that's been ironed, as we say, definitely hasn't been worn since March. So my band t-shirt is Dodgy, but in particular, I'm just thinking about everybody I know in bands, because the music business has been hit so bad in terms of live. And that isn't just, of course, the performers, it's everybody backstage, including, I would imagine, our own, the small PA company who we work with a lot in Newham. So shout out to Ian Hassel, who pretty much with his colleagues and the small PA company keeps the live music industry going when it's allowed to in East London. Fortunately, we have, as well as a Paralympian, our very own Robin Surgeonator is a musician. So he plays us out on a Friday anyway. So this is particularly a good timing in terms of band t-shirt day. So over to you finally in the West Midlands for some introductions, audio description, and tell us about your bands.
Okay, well, I mean, apart from the fact that I'm bereft that no one's wearing an Angry Fish t-shirt, I thought about wearing it as my old band, but I'm not sure that quite goes into the allowed that of old band t-shirts. So, hi, I am Robin Surgeonator, business director at Together 2012, and as Ju mentioned, I'm an artist known as Angry Fish, and of course, a co-host of Together Unlocked TV. So today I am wearing slightly disheveled hair, white and grey, no rims, black armed glasses. I still haven't adorned any of my old punk jewelry. I looked at it earlier and I was like, yeah, you won't be able to see it, and then I'd have to make my ears sore. So and putting an earring through my putting a safety pin through my ear with Emily around, probably not the best idea right now. So in terms of the t-shirt I am wearing, I was always a huge fan of Ian Dury, and although I don't have an original t-shirt from the time, because most of my t-shirts as a student I wore and wore and wore, so they kind of just had just fell to pieces. But this is a more a newer acquisition, but in memory of Ian Dury. It says on the t-shirt "Reasons to be cheerful," and it's got a mosaic of 16 individual pictures, which I'm not going to take you through. You'll be pleased to know. But they reference the track. So "Reason to be Cheerful" Part 3 was an Ian Dury single, and basically it's kind of a list of all the things that made Ian Dury cheerful or might make you cheerful. And I realized actually just literally just before we came on air that there is a Wikipedia link which you can I'll endeavor to send it through afterwards, which does in fact list all of the things that Ian Dury was cheerful about in that song. So it's kind of, it's cool.
Hi, I'm Josh Surgeonator. I'm the fourth host of Together Unlocked. I have long, indeterminate coloured hair today.
Could I just ask you, Josh, to turn your microphone down slightly?
Okay.
Is that a little bit?
Thanks.
Return to the land of dulcet tones. And then today I have a black T-shirt that has a big circle on it, and the circle's divided into 4. And then each of the 4 is a Pink Floyd album cover. But because this is from the Australian Pink Floyd, they are all slightly tweaked to represent Australian Pink Floyd. So it has kind of pink kangaroos over the Battersea Power Station instead of pigs. And kind of the dark side of the moon is in the shape of Australia rather than a prism, and things like that.
It's funny, isn't it? We've all decided to opt for classic band T-shirts, but on the other hand, it does avoid us having to have rows with friends saying, "Why didn't you use ours? Why did you use so and so's?" So we're in the middle of our wonderful Making History Together 2020 Disability History Month Festival. Last night we had, was it the 3rd, the 4th? I think the 3rd of our live performances, and it was our live art performance night with Gobscure and Rebecca Redican. Julie, you were the only one who was watching rather than working on it. So how did you think it went?
I thought it was marvelous. I loved the mix of the two. I thought the perspectives of both artists blended really, really well, and it gave us something I thought very special. I loved the challenge of it. There was an awful lot of content from both artists. There was, I think, each in their own way is very challenging, and the way they present things is very challenging. And I think in many respects, it's what's the word where you do something unconventional? It's sort of
Unconventional.
it kind of breaks the norms, doesn't it? Of nice tidy art, sort of like in pretty galleries with lots of people standing around in high heels and dress suits, drinking champagne, sort of gently out of little posh glasses. This I thought was much more, well, actually much more punk, and much more real. I love Gobscure. He's worked with us a few times now, and each time I'm blown away by his creativity. His concept of a hyena in petticoats, I think, was wonderful. He adopted the persona. He adopted Mary Wollstonecraft. He basically made her alive and real in the 21st century, which takes some doing. Rebecca, I thought, was extremely clear. She was able to show us insights into a dyslexic world, which didn't diminish her or anyone who had dyslexia in any way. I thought it added to a greater understanding through a very, very significantly high artistic content. And I took my hat off to everybody who was involved in the production. I thought the webinar went very, very well. I thought you did a good job, Ju, as a host. And Robin, I don't know how you managed to keep your mouth running for half an hour without interruption or deviation or hesitation. You just did it. It was wonderful. And Josh, your technical abilities are growing from webinar to webinar, and it was extremely smooth. I really appreciated it, and I don't know how many people were watching, but I know I was completely engrossed in the whole hour.
I haven't done the final audience numbers, but there was certainly well over 30 beside the immediate crew and team member, which I think for a live art night is very good. But of course, you can watch it whether you've seen it last night or not. Indeed, you might want to watch it again. Everything we're doing, we're recording and we're putting up on the website. We had said the next day, in fact, the technical issues are such that isn't always possible. But what you can do right now is you can go to Rebecca's page and you can see the pre-filmed performance. So part of her performance last night was filmed in advance. And that video is already on the website, along with more information about the piece and more information about Rebecca. And similarly, for Gobscure with Hyena in Petticoats, you have the film that he showed as part of the performance. You've got the filmed interview with him talking about the background to the piece that he did for us on Wednesday. And you've got links through to a whole range of accompanying work that he's made in response to Mary Wollstonecraft, including poems and music and paintings. And you can download a pamphlet fanzine, which has got lots of information about things you can do at home. So you can make your own Mary Wollstonecraft placards, you can make your own hyena masks, you can organise your own mini demonstration. Everything we do in this festival, we try to make genuinely live and genuinely interactive. And that's one of the ways we do it. And then very soon, I can't promise exactly when, the performance from last night will be up as well. That will have the full captions and also the full BSL. So coming up next week, coming up tomorrow, in fact, we have the second of our family activities. And it's a workshop about how to make very unusual finger puppets with just pieces of paper and other little bits and pieces that you've got lying around the house. It's a pre-recorded workshop so that you can do things at your own pace. We do understand that everybody works at their own pace, and particularly in families. So we release that video tomorrow. It will definitely be there by 3 o'clock, might be up there a little bit early, but we think 3 o'clock in the afternoon, you've had your lunch, had a run around, had time to sit down. Really good time to get around as a family and engage with one of the activities. And then Tuesday, we're back to our evening performances, and we have our very own associate theatre company, Act Up Newham, with their multimedia performance, I Am Tony. Now, we've shown a couple of films that they've made in the run-up to Tuesday, and here is a new one inviting people to come and telling you a bit more about it.
I am Tony.
My name's Tony too.
Tony. Tony. I am Tony.
Where memories take us to unexpected places.
A struggle between good and bad.
What do you think Tony would choose? Tuesday, 24 November, 7 o'clock.
Oh, that's unmissable, isn't it? I think they've been working on this piece for, is it 18 months now?
Yes, I mean, a lot of the video that you see there is obviously filmed prior to lockdown, but they've also been working on Tuesday night since the beginning of September. So it will be the launch of an entire multimedia project. They have the film, but they also have a range of other things to do. Yeah, I think it's just really, really interesting that something that they've been able to communicate not just across an entire ocean, but across time zones is coming to fruition at a time when we're also digitally connected, but not really connected, you know, geographically in other ways. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. The way you can see our evening event is a little bit there.
Sounding good from this end. So I'm not sure what's going on from there. I mean, I can just fill in there if you're worried about the time.
Well, I do you hear delete coming?
Actually, we're losing you. You're going in and out. So I will just carry on for a moment, just to say that that you are able to join in the festival, either by booking a space within a webinar using the Eventbrite links that are within, well, obviously on Eventbrite, but also within the festival pages. And on the Together website. And if you are able to use a computer, then you get the full immersive accessible experience with the captioning and the BSL. If you are if you need to use either a tablet or other mobile device, then you get you aren't able to receive the BSL. I think that's right, isn't it, Josh?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, you still do that. No, that's strange. I'm having a problem with accessing my
Yeah, so sorry, viewers. We're getting some more issues with sound from the London end. It's very, very quiet and dropping in and out. Julie, sing us a song.
No, I'm the same thing.
Yeah, it's going in and out. We sound like Norman Collier.
Oh dear, we can't have that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop on a video that I would have put on in about 8 minutes anyway, which is more about the joining from home program. And while that's happening, I'm going to try and get rid of the gremlins at our end. Have you got your gremlin beta ready, Julie? Right, let's do some gremlins, but first we'll put this on. Together 2012 is running a Join In From Home programme from our website, together2012.org.uk. Click on the link at the top of the page, Join In From Home, to go straight to the main page where you have a wide range of accessible, inclusive creative activities, mostly using things that you would already have at home. At the top of the page and throughout the pages, you will also see videos in British Sign Language to translate the site for deaf people. These videos can also be useful if you have difficulties reading and you simply want to hear more of the content. The Join In From Home programme is based on the activities that we would usually be running in East London. So, for example, we have an arts club which usually operates on a Tuesday with craft-based activities and on a Friday morning for drawing and painting. Here you can join in with the arts club's Hands project and celebrate your uniqueness and membership of the human race. There are full instructions on the linked page here. But essentially, we invite you to draw around your hand on a piece of card. It could be an old cereal packet. Cut the shape out, turn it over, and decorate it with anything you would like to do. It could be paints, crayons, glitter, collage, beads, leaves, anything you can think of. Photograph your hand or hands and send it to us at tv@together2012.org.uk. We'll add it to our video installation and share it on social media. Our music club usually meets on the first Friday of each month. We have an open mic session and we invite everybody to play along with percussion instruments. So here you can learn how to make your own percussion instruments from recycled materials. And you can also join in a percussion workshop from last summer in terms of Carnival Percussion. So these three instruments are used most often in Carnival. We have a shaker and a go-go and a hand drum. So this is how to make a recycled shaker, a recycled go-go, and a recycled hand drum. You can also, if you're technically minded, make your own tactile sound instrument. This does require a few simple electronics, but is a very interesting and exciting project as part of our Vibrafusion ongoing work. You can also listen with Together.
We have Spotify playlists created by Robin Surgeonator, also known as our TV presenter Angry Fish, and we also have 2 classical music playlists from Bournemouth Symphony Orchestra, including one that's uniquely suited to people who are feeling very unwell.
So, hello,
So-
viewers.
Sorry about that. Sorry, I I didn't quite get what Ju said, so I do apologise for any lack of continuity going on there. We'll carry on talking about the festival, I guess. I mean, it's kind of subject to issues such as technical ones. It's all been going swimmingly well, really.
Yeah, I think so. I think, as Ju said, we've had 3 live performances so far. One of which being the actual kind of official launch evening last Thursday. And then we've got Act Up coming up on Tuesday, which Ju's already talked about. And then on Saturday this week, we have Sahira Khan.
Next week, Saturday next week.
Yes, next week. Sorry, already thinking too many Saturdays in my diary. Next week, we have Sahira Khan doing a performance of some work that she's done that I'm really looking forward to as well. And then on Thursday, I believe there is a open mic poetry evening. There's more details of that on the Together website if you go to the festival page, as well as an email address to use if you'd like to kind of contribute to the open mic. If you vamp, I will find out what that email address is.
Okay, so I would, I mean, what we really hope. I mean, obviously, the festival has 2 main purposes. One is to deliver great art from disabled artists, who some of which do have other avenues, and some of which, the disability arts performance arena is kind of their main vehicle for getting work out there. But actually, what we really hope is that it inspires other artists to, or you don't even yet need to be an artist, together as an organization. One of the main purposes is for us to help develop new, emerging, and even mid-career artists, as well as those who are already at the top of their game, to look at how they can, I mean, right from the beginning, start their art, identify what you like, what you think that you are going to enjoy doing, and that can be anything from making finger puppets or sock puppets, right through to writing manuscripts of plays, or large paintings, kind of anything really. But just like anything, we understand, and in very much promote starting small, being at the beginning. You have to start somewhere, and nobody started good.
And so with that, if you do want to be involved with the open mic slot, if you email info@together2012.org.uk, you'll be able to kind of put yourself forward. And that was just scrolling across the bottom of the screen. So I believe there's going to be some background text conversations to help with the tech issues. Robin, or Dad, because we're not doing coaching work, if you can click on public chat, I believe we may have a message, or it's a dot to confuse me. Okay, so thank you for that, Blake. Blake's just letting us know that we're having some technical issues. Do let us know if we fix them as well, Blake, if you, because it's always a little bit difficult to know what everyone else out there is hearing. So if it suddenly becomes better, do give us a shout so that we can stop looking quite so confused. Pop back to host chat. I believe there's another.
Apologies.
I can't reach the mouse. You see, it's on the other arm of the sofa.
Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to continue through the show. So what we'd like to do now, we've just seen the join in from home on Friday's film. But what we'd now like to do is to bring you a short film from Stera Plurger. Stera is part of Act Up. She's a very, very regular part of our broadcasting, both with her dog doing slow TV, and her own artwork as well as her stuff with Act Up Newham. So as soon as Ju is going to start running the video of Stera doing lantern making. As soon as that appears, I will stop talking.
Hi, I'm Stera, and this is Merlo the dog, and I painted lights out of leaves. I made them from leaves for Hannah's birthday. They were beautiful and really good.
Okay, so we are back. Just pointing to message to Joshua to we need to call some info up so we can look at. Yeah, so thank you, Stera. I mean, another great film. She's done some incredibly inventive artwork over lockdown, and I love the stills that the film brings, and the kind of concentration and enjoyment that you can see Stera's getting from her artwork, which is fabulous. And it's always great art. It's always something that you want to hang or wish that you had the skills to make and hang to decorate your house. So what we're going to look at now, Joshua's just going to pull it up, is we're going to talk about, we have not only our festival going on at the moment, but there are in fact 2 other disability arts festivals. And whilst we would love to be incredibly selfish with our audience and not tell you about anything else, that's not the kind of organization we are. So we will let you know that there is also the Dada Fest will be going on in the very near future. But what is happening at the moment and continuing to do so over the next
28th of November,
right through from this weekend till the 28th of November, is the Beautiful Octopus Club Festival. For those of you who don't know, Beautiful Octopus Club, it is a London-based arts organisation primarily for people with cognitive impairments, and they produce some incredible art of all forms. And it's always a joy to be part of anything that the Octopus Club put together. So can we Joshua, would you like to take us through some of the stuff that is...
I can do. Before we go on to that, I believe Ju has a trailer to play for their festival. Because I believe, there we go.
There we go. It's unmuted all. So this is getting very complicated. And we thought the webinars were difficult. So Josh, would you like to tell us some of the things on the festival website?
Yes. So the 2 things that are going on this weekend with Beautiful Octopus Club is they are doing a takeover of Soho Radio, 6 till 7, on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and that kind of continues throughout the festival. And they had a specific event this evening, 7 till 9, which is called Baking with Beyonce. And then in description, it says baking and Beyonce. So I'm assuming it's baking to the music of, and not that Beyonce is popping around. It says, get those aprons at the ready and enjoy a night with a difference. Join our bakers who are making a one-of-the-kind Beyonce Coca-Cola cake, plus dancing along to your favourite Beyonce tracks. I might have to check it out. I have no idea what a Coca-Cola cake is.
It sounds great,
but
doesn't
it sounds cool. I have no idea what it is, but it sounds exciting, and I'd like to find out more. So I might have to check that out.
And I'm just going to make a small apology that I might have used a term that I'm used to using in Birmingham, but Beautiful Octopus Club is for people with learning difficulties. So apologies again that I used a description that we use up here. So sorry about that.
So that was the Beautiful Octopus Club festivals events this weekend. But we also have our own suggestions for the weekend outside of the Together festival that we've already talked about. So Robin, do you want to go first with what your suggestions for the weekend are?
Yeah, I will do indeed. So I have a couple. The first one is bingo. Just home bingo. I've discovered a site, and the link will definitely be up later, as I have sent that through. But I just thought we could, it'd be great to play bingo for free with your friends. And I found this website which can do a couple of things. One is, as long as you've got a computer, you can use it to generate the numbers that you need. Like a bingo caller, it will bring the numbers up, and then someone has to say the number. But it then keeps a record of it, just like happens in real bingo. And what this program does is it allows you to either print cards at home, or indeed, if you want to try it, you can join in online from multiple locations. Even within your own system, it provides a link so that, you could get a couple of mates on their devices and you could play bingo and then phone each other when you win, I guess. Phone up bingo. So that could be fun, just something a little bit different to try out. And the second item from me is, I've just called it Stay In and Eat Popcorn. I found a fabulous link called Digital Trends. Again, the link will be up later. And that is a list of the top, in their opinion, obviously, the top 20 newly released films on streaming. So not necessarily absolutely new films, although some of them are very new. But it is about, it's their kind of their top of the pick of new things that are now available to stream. So there is plenty of viewing there.
Have you got anything else?
No, that's it for me for now. Yeah, I mean, as Josh just saying to me, to be absolutely clear, that the bingo is free to join in. It is only between friends, and there is no gambling involved whatsoever. It is just purely for the fun, and being able to tell people you won.
Yeah, it's purely for bragging rights. So we'll do my things for the weekend, and then I also have some links from Julie from our London studio. So my things for the weekend were, I believe it came out yesterday. Time magazine have put out their list of kind of what they consider to be the top 100 inventions of 2020. So they've kind of taken their own writers, has kind of looked at things, contributions from all over the world, and I think there was an online kind of entry as well. And they've basically looked at kind of the effectiveness, the originality, and the impact that these different inventions have, and then used that to kind of compile their list of what they consider to be the best 100 inventions of this year. And I haven't had a chance to read it yet, But I'm quite looking forward to kind of flicking through that over the weekend. I think it's going to make some kind of light reading and maybe find some cool or interesting or kind of novelty gadgets and bits and pieces that I probably won't buy, but maybe would like to. And then the other thing was from me was just kind of re-highlighting the sport things that I've talked about previously. So the Autumn Nations Cup, which is a rugby union competition, is entering its second week this weekend, and that's all on Amazon Prime. And that can kind of be watched on demand or live. And then the International Swimming League has its final this weekend as well. So it's the top 4 teams, which basically are made up of the best swimmers in the world. It's kind of 32 or 24 athletes in each team. And it's really good fun. Even if you don't like swimming, you can just kind of get in and look at the lights and listen to the music and the very enthusiastic American commentators.
But what's great is our very own London Raw team are featured in the final. And I think it's going to be a very close affair. If anything is to go by, last year's final wasn't won until the very last event.
Yes, last year's final was very much that it came down to the final race, and I think this year is going to be even closer. So, in terms of from Julie,
I'll just say before you go into that, just to remind people, everything we're talking about will come up on the highlights and links page within the Together website, that being www.together2012.org.uk.
Now, do forgive me, I am going to read these off of my laptop because I hadn't memorized what Julie's things for the weekend were. So, going back to today being National T-shirt Day, which is it started I think in 2008 and is a Six Music kind of initiative, which is why they kind of push it every year. So as Julie said, kind of throughout the day they'll be playing requests from people based on their band T-shirts. So that will be quite interesting. It's always a good listen. I like listening to it every year because Six Music plays a pretty wide variety. It's a fairly eclectic playlist anyway, but it gets even more so today. The other things that she had, and I'm going to pass this one over to Robin to try and pronounce, because I'm hoping he might be familiar with them before.
Okay, so this is for the Amici Dance Company, who are running a Zoom dance workshop on the 2nd of December, but places are limited. So Julie is suggesting that early booking is recommended. The little bit about Amici. Amici is a mixed dance company founded by Wolfgang Strange in 1980 and is based in the Lyric Theatre in Hammersmith. So if any of you Londoners do enjoy it or live close to London, that might be something you want to get involved with once lockdown is over. But there is a link to that, which will again be on the page.
And before we move on, Wolfgang Strange is an incredible name. That is awesome. And then the final one from Julie was an update on the race around the world. So it's the currently in day 12 of the Vendée Global Challenge, and there are currently 33 teams or kind of boats, I guess, because I think a lot of them are kind of single crewed, going around trying to sail the globe. So currently Alex Thompson is in the lead and is sailing from the coast of Brazil heading towards Cape Horn. And there's another British sailor, and I believe this is pronounced Pip Hare. Pip, if you're watching and I've pronounced your name wrong, I apologise.
What, from their boat?
But also, if you are watching, can I have your phone deal? Because that is some cracking signal. And it said that she gave a Thanksgiving message on YouTube. And I think what Julie was saying is that you can kind of really pick up the speed of that they're traveling on the boats by kind of watching the water pass them in the background. It's one of those things, I think, when you watch sailing kind of on the Olympics and on telly, when it's those kind of big aerial shots, you don't really get that sense of speed because, you know, you're seeing hundreds of meters of kind of open space. Then all of a sudden it cuts to the cuts to the kind of camera boat that's next to it, and they're, you know, the poor cameraman's holding on for dear life as these boats like bouncing all over the place.
Yeah, I mean, sailing in the Southern Ocean and places like that, I just think, I mean, it just takes absolute guts. I mean,
Yeah,
all the skills and everything else, but just being out there alone. I mean, we many years ago we went on a very big boat across the Bay of Biscay, and it was one of the worst journeys I've ever been on, and that was like 500 feet long. So something that's only 25 feet long or whatever size these boats are, just scares me.
Yeah, I think it's always one of those funny things about scale, especially with watching sport on TV. You know, people say kind of watching gigs and things on TV, you don't get the atmosphere of being there, but kind of when you watch rugby on the TV, the players just look kind of normal because they're standing next to all the other rugby players. Then you kind of go to it in person and you see them and they're kind of 4 foot above your head and it gets dark when one of them walks past. So yeah, I think being able to kind of see what Julie was saying, kind of be on the boat, you really get that sense of speed. Final thing, and we can kind of both touch on this because it was Thanksgiving yesterday in America. It means that today is Black Friday, which is it was an American thing to start with. I'm not entirely sure the rationale behind it, but they just do kind of huge sales and things.
I think it's to do with Thanksgiving and the end of the kind of harvesting season, and then people can go out and, I mean, I might be making that up,
buy really cheap TVs. So it starts today, and lots of places will kind of do them, and Amazon always has a big kind of Black Friday sale. There's now a Cyber Monday, which is the same thing but online, even though Black Friday is online. But it's also kind of extended into basically a week-long event. So there's kind of things that are there continuously, but then on Amazon they have lightning deals, which are kind of time sensitive. So if there is something you want in particular, kind of check back every now and again over the weekend, and you might be able to pick it up.
And of course,
for a steal if you do have some spare money lying about.
I mean, and the bonus is you don't have to go out. I mean,
yes,
obviously you know, we're absolutely aware that we are staying in, staying safe, being creative. So get creative with your shopping. If you haven't put together, if you celebrate Christmas or any other festival that requires presents and you haven't yet got that list, or even if you have, then head over to Amazon. I mean, obviously other websites are available. So use the Black Friday stuff that is kind of actually across many shopping opportunities these days. But get your shopping done now and save yourself some money, because the prices will go back up again before Christmas.
Yeah, I think I was looking earlier, and I think the Amazon's own brand voice activated home assistant to avoid setting anybody's off if they're listening. The dot version of that I think is normally kind of 40, 50, 60 quid, something in that region. I think is today it's kind of 18.99. And they are really kind of useful and helpful pieces of kit. And it's kind of well worth picking it up. Now, we always finish on Friday with a song from our resident musician. So how long is your song today?
Well, I'll get to that. So, I mean, it's going to slightly long introduction today to explain the song. But just before I move into that, while Josh gets out of the way and I get my guitar on, I'm going to say, do you want to say goodbye, Josh?
So I'll say a quick goodbye now. Hopefully you all enjoy your weekends, and we'll see you on Monday. Now I'm going to get out of the way so that I don't get hit in the head by a guitar.
So what I would also do now is just say, I mean, on behalf of Ju and Julie in the London office, goodness knows exactly what's happened. Hopefully it's not me that's done it. Just these things happen. So on behalf of Ju and Julie and the London office, goodbye. And just a little bit about Monday. So Monday will be our next show. Between now and then, we have the craft activity at the weekend, as we've already talked about. Do check out the festival website. And then on Monday, we will have our usual show, but we'll feature much more heavily festival chat. Talk about things at the weekend. We'll talk about what we did do at the weekend, catch up on whether we managed to take part in any of our own recommended activities, or whether we stole somebody else's, or indeed found something completely new. Okay, so I am going to pick my guitar up, which, if any of you sorry for disappearing there. If any of you are musicians, you will know the very real issues that wires deliver to playing a part. And you know, you will have seen that Ju was wearing a head mic today to try to get rid of one of those problems. Unfortunately, it's not quite worked today, but hopefully we'll get that ironed out for Monday. So I am going to play you a song today, which is called Far Q, as in a Q, which is a long way away. I will do my best to not make it sound anything other than what it should be. And this song is, I chose to do this one, although I wrote it quite a while ago. It is very much about the experience of going to mainstream music festivals and what that brings us in terms of interesting experiences as disabled festival goers. So this is Far Q. Well, I was trying to park my motor at me just the year before. People climbing out of camper vans, falling to the floor. So I asked the parking marshal what I should do. He said there's parking over there for the likes of you. It was somewhere in the distance, barely in view. So I turned back to the marshal and I said, fuck you. He said, you what? I said, fuck you. He said, you what? I said, fuck you. He shook his head. He said, you come to these events and expect us to provide a wheelchair tent. Nothing special about you. Got no reason not to treat you like the rest. I said, well done, mate. Now you've done it. Let's not jest. He rolled his eyes. He was so dazed. Dazed and confused. So I muttered to myself and I thought out loud, fuck you. We found the viewing platform about a mile from the main stage. It was full of happy campers who were crips just for the day. So I asked the platform marshal where I could get a better view. He said something about the far queue and never happy people like you. But when I saw where he was pointing and where I had to do, I turned and pointed in disbelief and I said, fuck you. He said, you what? I said, fuck you. He said, you what? I said, fuck you. He turned away. He got on his radio, started to whinge and to complain. Told his boss that we were sloppy and we wouldn't face the front. So I shouted to his boss that the marshal was a clown. Then she arrived and threatened I'd be removed. So I pointed up and all I said was, fuck you. These matters was for the bog I waited an age, only to find they'd been locked and blocked and not just engaged. So I asked the toilet marshal where I could do my number 2. He said there's toilets backstage that should do. But when I saw the line twisting miles to the loo, I crossed my legs and getting desperate said, fuck you. He said, do what? I said, fuck you. He said, do what? I said, fuck you. He raised his fist said, listen, mate, I'm done with platitudes. But in the end, I couldn't wait, and I splashed all over his shoes. And he went mad, and I just shrugged and said, and whilst I'm not adverse to swearing or being crude, I found the situation made me unusually rude. But when the atmosphere and service are just crap, then I should be forgiven if my patience finally snaps. But in the end, there's nothing that you can do. And loose your rag and loose your tongue and shout. The access here and the attitude is really rubbish, and I'm incredibly disappointed with everything about this festival and the fact that everybody other than me gets to see what they want to see, and that was just a bit I thought I would add on for humour. I wish you all a fantastic weekend. Please do enjoy the festival, the things coming up, and the things to that have already been recorded. I do apologize if the sound is being not absolutely perfect today, and if my guitar was too loud. Again, I do apologize for that. Just trying to monitor here. So have a great weekend. Bye bye. See you next week.